President Trump, after promising a radical break with the foreign policy of Barack Obama, is embracing some key pillars of the former administration's strategy, including warning Israel to curb settlement construction, demanding that Russia withdraw from Crimea and threatening Iran with sanctions for ballistic missile tests. In the most startling shift, the White House issued an unexpected statement appealing to the Israeli government not to expand the construction of Jewish settlements beyond their current borders in East Jerusalem and the West Bank. Such expansion, it said, may not be helpful in achieving the goal of peace. That's not fake news, Lee's Hand. That's the New York Times. Has there been a bit of hysteria where Donald Trump is concerned 2 weeks into his period in the White House?
No, I don't think it's been the hysteria is over-exaggerated, to be honest. I think we're just in a period where nobody knows what he's going to say and what direction he's going in. He's in an administration that isn't really staffed up. A lot of the experienced people, particularly in the Secretary of State's department, there's a lot of vacancies to be filled, and they seem to be making up their foreign policy on the back of an envelope and doing it on the hoof.
But shouldn't the world be reassured by something like that, Brig Smith?
Well, I think I agree with Lisa. I think that it is that we don't know. I mean, he made a pronouncement that he was going to move the American embassy from Tel Aviv to East Jerusalem, and immediately after the Israeli government said, "Great, so this gives us the right to increase our settlements in East Jerusalem. We can build where we want and when we want and how we want," and they saw that as a green light because he made that statement. Now he hasn't actually done it yet, but he's promised to do it. And then he makes this statement about curb your settlements. We don't know which way he's going to go. And then there's the threat against Iran issued by his I forget the name of the guy who threatened Iran
Michael
yesterday.
Flynn, was it?
Yeah. Which is very, very scary.
But you have, they managed to, upset one of their loyalist and most long-term allies in Australia. You've got Mad Dog Mattis over in Seoul, I think today, issuing threats, basically telling North Korea to mind their manners. You have. Apparently, according to the reports in the New York Times and Washington Post, the first, I suppose, military raid under his regime in Yemen went to Zam.
Even Donnelly looked consistent.
The chief executive of Uber, Travis Kalanick, he's stepped back from Donald Trump's Economic Advisory Council following criticism and an online boycott of the company. And he was saying that joining the group was not meant to be an endorsement of the president or his agenda, but unfortunately it has been misinterpreted to be exactly that. But surely the better thing for him to have done would have been to go in there and state his objections, if he had some, to what Trump was doing.
I think what the chief executive of Uber did was a purely commercial decision. Uber as a brand was suffering badly as a result of him being a member.
Yeah, he talked about a perception reality gap.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people were actively, particularly on the West Coast, deleting Uber from their phones. So that app. So that's why he did it. Nothing else. There's no principle there.
Unlike Enda Kenny going to the White House, which is very unfortunate. Which is part of why
the right decision.
It's the right decision.
Hold on. Why do you think it's the wrong decision?
Well, I think you asked the question: would he not have been better off staying in and trying to influence and change? And that's the angle that Enda Kenny has taken. I'm staying friends with Donald Trump, and I'm going to tell him what I think of him. The world would receive a much better message, and Donald Trump would be much more isolated diplomatically if he said, "I'm not going near your White House."
Can I just say that?
It would be a much better move. The message that would send out would be far stronger.
I mean, look. Regis politics has always been get to the departure gate in Dublin Airport and shout across the Atlantic, and you can condemn or you can do whatever you want, but it makes no difference at all for our country's perspective. First of all, the one thing we always need to bear in mind: the Shamrock, the whole thing around Patrick's Day is an interaction between Ireland and America. It's much deeper than one Taoiseach and one president. There's a whole interaction between both sets of people, the people of the United States and the people of Ireland, but also there's an interaction with all levels of the American administration, both Republican and Democrat. Can I just say this? As a tiny country, which is incredibly lucky to have access to the United States and to its centre of power in the United States on a fixed day every year, year in, year out, for us
that's obviously what Martin McGuinness thought when he invited him over to the north.
It would be the mistake of the
disgraceful decision.
I think. I mean, looking at it politically, I think and then they get killed at home. He will be annihilated at home.
Can't go in there and scowl. I mean, they're naturally very gregarious people.
He will get absolutely.
I was really concerned that the visuals of Enda scolding Trump in public in order to placate Brid and her colleagues back in the Dáil.
It's not treating our colleagues? What about the tens of thousands of people across the planet
That would
protesting?
really worry me,
Well,
I
it's
have to
not
say.
no, it's not just
I
being their
think,
colleagues. It's
I
a lot
think
of
being my
for Ireland's
colleagues.
economic interests,
He's
he
going to be one
has
of
to
the-
go over
he
there.
has to be the
He has
fir-
to meet the
It is
president.
not-
He's one of the first European
and it
leaders
has to
who will
be
have
as
sort of a
pleasant
very
as possible.
public thing, and everybody will actually be watching this.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly. Everybody be watching, and instead of seeing
that's
Enda
why we
Kenny
should be
scowl,
there.
they'll see Enda Kenny huggy kissy, lovey dovey with Donald Trump and his missus.
Go back-
That is not the right message.
To what you were saying a few moments ago, Brid Smith, about Martin McGuinness and inviting Trump. That
Yeah,
was a joint
apparently it was
invitation.
published in the Telegraph yesterday, the Belfast Telegraph, that a letter of invitation, congratulations and invitation was sent, jointly signed by Martin McGuinness and what's her name, Cash Farash.
Arlene Foster.
Arlene Foster.
Thank you.
Must be one of
was
the few
there-
things they could agree on.
Well,
So
yeah.
they apparently invite. I read the letter. I read it online. That she, thank you, congratulations, well done, and all that. And we're only a small little state, but you're welcome here any time. We'd love to have you. So I think this is disgraceful.
Well,
that
Michelle
she-
Because
O'Neill
he,
was straight
because
out
he
and tried-
recognises that economic activity
Well,
is
Michelle
important
O'Neill wasn't
to raise
really
the
happy
revenues
about
to
this.
fund social
I think
phrase,
Sinn
we
Fein should
haven't-
retract that
we haven't
invitation
got
to
around
their new
to-
leader immediately.
We haven't got around to and won't. We're out of time to discussing Brexit.